All the buttons have been pressed. We are live from the center of the galaxy. This is ForceCenter show about Star Wars pop culture and the ultimate adventure. Talking Star Wars news here on a Monday. I'm Ken Knapsack.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw.
And we are, as I said, going to get into some Star Wars news. We have a little bit of news to discuss here in a bit. Daisy Ridley talking about the new Jedi Order film. Just a little bit, but it's enough to start a good conversation around it. And Star Wars Starfighter production has wrapped. Big news, a Star Wars film is in the can. But before we get to all that, we want to remind you that today's show is brought to you by our merch shop on Fourth Wall. Check out our merch store. Pick up a t-shirt, a coaster, a pint glass, something to support the ForceCenter brand, if I may call it that, out in the galaxy. You can head to forcecenter-shop.fourthwall.com, forcecenter-shop.fourthwall.com, or check the links down below if you're watching here on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. We've been saying all this for 10, 12, 15 years. It's become part of our lexicon, but it still really matters.
Mm-hmm. Ding the flugel, or whatever it is you need to do to help us out. That's what I say.
Ding the flugel. Yes. That should be the next. Whoever's after YouTube, you should make a fugle to be dinged.
That's right. That's what the season is about, right? Dinging the flugel. We're also continuing to build to our goal of 10,500 subscribers on YouTube. I just went to check our subscriber numbers and remembered that I need to actually re-sign into YouTube, which requires me to cause YouTube to send Ken a text to verify that I can look at our YouTube, which I'm not going to do live on air. I'm not going to do that right now. But anyway, I do see from the outside that we're at 10.2. So just a few hundred from our goal. Very excited about getting there. 10,500 subscribers on YouTube is our goal. I think maybe in the new year we will talk about some goals either for Patreon or for YouTube of kind of building toward a goal and then doing a show. But it's been a hard run for a lot of us, and we've been very busy.
Yeah.
But thank you everyone who has joined us on YouTube. And man, I was looking at the news for Starfighter. I was really thinking about, hey, there's that whole Mando and Grogu movie. And getting excited not only as a fan for the film, but also for the Star Wars talking community, that the machine of promotion for Mando and Grogu is going to ramp up starting soon. And it'll be, I think, a fun time to get some excitement and energy going in the Star Wars talking community.
Yeah, next week we'll be re-releasing, what is now annual for Star Wars podcast. So look ahead to 2026. And if you've been doing this long enough, like we have, or Star Wars Explained, or John Lacey over at Resistance Broadcast, it's like a rite of passage every year. Let's look at the new year. But I'm really excited about 2026, and some of the news today is about that. Jennifer Landa sends her regards. Couldn't make the live show this week for news, holidays, families in town, all those kind of things. She hopes to be back next Monday. So she sends her regards, which I know is always a Game of Thrones related threat. And maybe she is threatening you. I don't know. Maybe she is threatening you, audience. So that's that. But we do want to catch up ourselves with some Star Wars Life Adventures. It's our first show back of the week. And, I'll start the bidding high, Joseph. You and I had the chance to perform in front of a sold-out crowd at Flappers Comedy Club Friday night at the Yoo-Hoo Room. That includes some of our ForceCenter listeners, Eli from Star Wars in the Galaxy, Brady, Johnny Starlight, and Brian Tiller, our pal from the Moon Agers as well. So it was a absolutely great night.
It was really, really fantastic. It was really fun. I haven't been performing as often because I made the conscious choice so that if I'm going to do the film stuff, I need to focus on it. And it's been so nice that twice this year, Ken has invited me to do his show, once in January and then here in December. And there's like a little shake and rust off of like, how does this all go again? Which is really, really good for me to do. And I really decided before the show, was just like, this is an opportunity for me. I want to do a good job by the audience, but this is an opportunity for me to be myself and have fun performing. And like, I stayed up late one night because my wife has really been busy and she hasn't been home a lot because she's been doing so many things. And I've been alone a lot. And I went down like a rabbit hole of watching like live performances of musicians I like and watching them just like tear it up on stage. And remember that this is about performance. This is about the energy that you get to put out there and get back. and I had such a great time doing the show because my bit was about anger, so it gave me a chance to play with being big in anger and attempting to be calm, and it was just so much fun to perform. The audience was great, and one of my favorite things about being performers, and the reason that I've loved doing variety shows, is you get the thrill of performing, and then you sit back and you're in your happy glow if it went well, and you get to watch your friends perform and kill it. And I love doing these shows with you where I can have fun performing, and then I get to sit back and watch you perform, Ken.
Oh, first of all, if you were kicking rust off like you were relearning to ride a bicycle, you went from kicking the tires to a BMX race. You had just a absolute slay of a set. And Michael McCarcel in chat says we're both sets recorded, just yours. All sets recorded. I got to get my hands on them. My full set will definitely be up on my Patreon page. I leave that to Joseph if he posts his. But you had, it was great. And the night wasn't just about performing comedy well. That's a great thing. And I definitely felt all the performers did. And shout out to Jason Kay, Grace Cosmeyer, and Carter Parton Rogers, as well as PJ and the Ting, who were the hosts of the show from Flappers. It was a great show, but it was just fun night, and I needed to get out, and I get out every now and then, but it was surrounded by good people, warmth at the end of a tough year for all of us, and it's still ongoing. And again, shout out to the folks that who came out, including Brady, Rose friend Eric. Once again, it was a great show. Yeah, Brady.
Yeah, thanks, Brady.
Yeah, good time. Good time. And then we hung out at Barney's afterwards. You and I got some greasy food late night. We're too old for this, but it was great.
Yep, I enjoyed a nice martini and a large pizza. And my wife looked away for a second, and then most of my pizza was gone. And she's like, "What? Are you going to eat all of that?"
Yep, it was great.
I earned it.
We did. No, great night. So thank you all that came out again, but we'll do it again soon. And then, you know what? One of my, Jen's never done stand up, but we're going to find reason to get Jen on stage one time. To do some sort of comedy.
I got some ideas.
That's exactly.
She's a performer.
Yeah, dude, she is. Everyone checking in chat, thank you. Here, let's dive into the news. Based on this comment alone, Brady says the new Jedi Order film needs to happen because the world revolves around me and I want it. So Brady's right. Let's get to this. Looking at the Star Wars news, Daisy Ridley spoke a little bit on the new Jedi Order films. Now, we've been covering Star Wars news long enough to know that, yes, often this happens, a little tidbit we can spin out into the story. I'm really, though, excited to talk about this one. I'm sure you are too, Joseph, there. Two spots for this story. First, she was promoting the movie We Bury the Dead. She was speaking with the Valnet-owned Collider and gave a tiny update on the new Jedi Order project. When asked if there was any movement on the project, Daisy said, "There's always movement." Oh, very Jedi-like. But the movement is at the right pace because the best things are worth the wait. Now, that's intriguing enough, Joseph, but the story does not end there. She also was on Kelly and Mark, which used to be Kelly and Ryan, which used to be Regis and Cat. It's a morning show with history. She was with Kelly Ripa and her husband Mark, right? And Daisy was coy about what she knew about the project. Of course, she was asked, but she echoed that there was movement. And then when asked by Kelly Ripa, is it going to start shooting soon? Daisy said with a sly smile, perhaps. So Joseph, let's have fun reading the tea leaves. What does this tell you about the movie status? And I'll kick it back to you, too, for what I was saying up top. How excited are you to talk about this new Jedi Order film?
I'm extremely excited to talk about it in a quick divergence from ForceCenter to All My Children's Center. I grew up watching All My Children in the summers, the soap opera where Kelly Ripa got her start. And I had a pang watching this morning I remember the show, I think in like 88 or 89, where Kelly Ripa first appeared. I remember watching that scene that began her career because we're around the same age, and she was introduced as she's an edgy 80s kid with a bad attitude. And I was like, she's my
poofy hair and bangs.
She's like, she was there was definitely like it's 89 and we finally understand this heavy metal thing the kids have been into for the last 5 years. So she's kind of a headbanger that's like, wow. Yeah. Anyway, sitting there watching that, I really didn't think that that would converge with Star Wars, but here we are. Anyway, so I very excited by all of this. I think that some version of this movie is going to happen. But I think the biggest thing that had me excited about these two interviews is just Daisy Ridley's poise in general. That she is clearly somebody who has decided, I want this career, and I understand that talking to the press and doing these junkets is a part of it. And I got my head screwed on straight, and I got my positive attitude. While also being like honest and clear. And like, there's a great take when I think Kelly of Kelly and Mark asks, and you're going to be involved in this Star Wars? And she's like, yeah. Like, haven't you been reading the headlines for the last 5 years? Like, there's a confidence and a poise to everything Daisy Ridley does, but there's no zigging or zagging about Star Wars. You're just like, yes, I am confidently telling you, it's not like some little project that I'm kind of attached to and maybe it'll happen or not. I'm an actor. Don't bother with me that. She's talking like a producer. Like, yep, I am a part of this and it will happen. I love that energy.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. Todd Roy in chat has a comment I like here. Thanks, Todd. I just feel like Miss Ridley cannot wait to get back to playing Rey. And I think that's apparent now. And we know right after Rise, as would be, not unexpected from an actor who had just spent 10 years playing a character. Like, I don't know, I need to back away. Like, I think for her to come around to this point where there's some actual excitement, even though she can't say it. And we'll talk about the whys and the hows and the whens of maybe the movie. But that's the thing. I think you're actually absolutely right to point out her poise, number one. Remember, this is one headshot Daisy from 2014 who's grown into this, not just a great actor who has a lot of respect, but is getting projects done from the producing side too. She's kind of the whole package there. I think that's important too. And that kind of adds some weight to the idea of what she's saying is appropriately coy within the Lucasfilm Disney system of not wanting to reveal too much, but also honest. Even though there's still some questions that we're even going to ask today, I think it's honest. I don't think she would have said perhaps, and I'm not saying the production starts next week. I think she knows she's been around enough to know that you don't want to play with that if that's not the answer.
Yeah, no, I think she would have said something else with poise and confidence, like when there's news, I will share it with you or something like that. I think there's also for me just like a fun legacy because I think there were a couple different interviews where for The Force Awakens where Carrie Fisher talks about the advice that she gave Daisy Ridley of like, you be in charge of your career. Don't let them put you in a space bikini unless you want to be in a space bikini. And it just, as much as Rey is her own person who also benefited from the guidance and the wisdom and the love of the Skywalker twins. There's a sense of like, this is a woman, Daisy Ridley in real life, who benefited from the wisdom and the kindness of mentors like Carrie Fisher, and like just such ownership of her career is really cool to see.
Absolutely cool to see. So I'll start again. I'll reframe what just taking this information, taking Daisy's response, and what does this tell you about the movie status? Where do you go? And I think I've seen some comments here too that are I think I don't take it as negative if you're like I still question the status of this film. I think we have reason to question any Star Wars film, which was be part of the conversation about Star Wars Starfighter finishing production, principal photography. But what do you take from this about the status
of the film? I think I think a movie with Rey will happen. I am concerned that the new Jedi Order film that Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy described at Celebration London, it might not fully materialize because I think a lot of changes have happened since then. I would love to have that exact film that Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy pitched happen. There's been a different reporting on the Kinberg trilogy about it's totally new versus it's the next episodes of the Skywalker saga, or it's going to have the episode titles that I don't think anybody truly knows what it is. So I think for her to be talking with such confidence, I think she knows that it is developing, and maybe what's taking the time is whichever film Rey is appearing in is developing along with the rest of the slate.
Yeah, I think you're right to point out that the landscape changed a little bit from London. And actually, that's a good thing. That means more films are coming. And I like where you're going, where maybe I personally have to wrap my head around the idea of that film that I was really excited for as announced, and with the director. And I until we hear otherwise, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy is the director of this film. I have to maybe accept that it might be a little different. It might be changed. It might be part of something bigger. And there's those rumors of it folding into the Kinberg trilogy or something like that. I don't know. We'll see if that happens. But that I just it doesn't to me mean I have to let go of all the expectations of this film not being made. I think we're gonna get there. I think it's. As it's been said in chat, like Brady says again, not gonna lie, don't mind this movie taking its time. The longer distance from sequels, the more anticipation there is from grown-up sequel fans. Yeah, I think much like a Jedi, I have to let go of my own expectations and attachments and just go. I still believe we have moments like this that make me believe, and it will show up as it needs to be, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I do think we didn't end up covering it, but Daisy Ridley spoke really positively about the hunt for Ben Solo kerfuffle, and being saying that she says, I knew a piece of it. I heard rumblings. I have lots of friends who are crew, so things always travel like that. But whoa, when the story came out, no, I was like, oh my God, and it was him that said it, right? Wow,
Yeah.
Adam is saying
Yeah.
it. But she goes on to say a lot of stuff about just the. I do love it when there's a collective positivity, the way the internet seems to have rallied to try to get it to happen. It's fantastic for all of us. She goes on for a little while. This was to IGN, and I read it about it on Variety. That general positivity about Star Wars, about the community of Star Wars, about people who are advocating for, yes, we want more Ben Solo, we want more the sequel trilogy storytelling, all that just general positivity about Star Wars. I don't want to become a hunt for Ben Solo truther that it is going to come out. But I also feel like if Lucasfilm is still in flux and it is responding to the hype around the hunt for Ben Solo, I can see a version of the hunt for Ben Solo story that doesn't involve Rey, but it would make a lot of sense to involve Rey.
Yeah.
So there's a possibility to me too of like, well, does a new Jedi Order movie morph into something that also includes Ben Solo? Which I think isn't what was being pitched by Sharmeen on that stage in Chicago or London.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Next big question to come out of this there is, and I made this the title because I like a good, intriguing clickbaity title about why this new Jedi Order film, aka the Rey film, needs to happen. And so, Joseph, that's my question: is why do you think this movie will still happen? And we can talk about the when and fun predictions, but like why does it need to happen to you?
I think there's several reasons. I think for me, on a personal level, I want to see Rey in her prime on the big screen because I love the character and because I think the Star Wars trilogies have this history of they are coming of age stories. It's Anakin's coming of age and falling into darkness. It's Luke's coming of age and becoming a Jedi and a Jedi Master. And I think the sequel trilogy is Rey, fully formed Jedi Master with her own lightsaber, her own destiny informed by the past. And then with Luke and Anakin specifically, we've got lots of storytelling of them in their prime now in books and comics and flashes and now Disney Plus television shows. But to have a big screen film that is like, okay, we grew up with this person. We saw them come of age. Now they need to face the challenges of sort of middle age or of having their own independent life, but also helping to raise the next generation. It's so exciting to see that story of the character that we met in the trilogy be fully formed. So that's one of the reasons I just really want the story of Rey. I also just really want the story that Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy pitched, which is galaxy is a little messy. Several governments have risen and fallen in the last century, and people who want to take advantage of other people are gaining power, and those people don't want the Jedi to come back. They don't want the defenders of peace and justice to come back. That to me speaks of a story that is about a Jedi at their prime who are going around and defending people. I'm trying not to bring up real world stuff, but you see some of the injustices happen in the world and you wish that somebody could step in. And I think a story like that could be very powerful and could be very cathartic, where the Jedi are the heroes, and there are malignant corporate forces that don't want them to return.
Yeah, Detective McCrossell says so many of us want to see the Jedi being unquestionably heroes. I need that. I really see that being possible with Rey and the new Jedi Order. Yeah, I'm glad that you brought it back, even though we just said we might have to acknowledge that the thing pitched to us in 2023 might not be the thing, but that was what was really exciting. That was, to me, the thing, you know, anything that Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy said about it, or anything she brought to the table as a documentary filmmaker, all that kind of stuff that we discussed in detail back then, we'll continue to bring up as needed, but that it wasn't just simply, we got Daisy back as Rey. Let's go have some fun. It was like what we could do with it. It seemed to be very timely, and it will unfortunately still be timely. That it wasn't necessarily about a new dark side. And I imagine you might have someone playing with the dark side. I can imagine that the dark side's not going to go away in these stories, especially the new Jedi Order. But that it could be inherently political, literally, as some of the enemies could be politicians or people in power and people based on fear, people trying to control others through fear while holding on to their power. And here comes a revitalized Jedi Order. That's a valuable story. So I think that's a great starting point, just to be like, that's why I think this needs to happen. Even though we do acknowledge we might have to untangle some of our expectations from the story. That was just what was more intriguing. It was a big why for Daisy to come back. And Daisy's been open as best she can in interviews in the past saying, the story, it wasn't just at a nice lunch with Kathy and was like, yeah, let's do this again. Let's run back, sign me up, pay me some money. It was like, no, this is something I want to do, a story I want to tell. So I'm intrigued by that. And just the logistics of it. There's another comment here I want to highlight. Nick's got some great comments. You all got some great comments today here. Nick's here saying some of those of us who grew up scavenging the scraps left behind by the previous generation inherently understand why we need Rey and her movie. And that kind of ties into just logistics of we've got this performer now at this age, at this time. And we didn't get episode 7 in 1988. We didn't even get episode 7 in 1999. But I think I'm glad that we didn't. I don't know. It would have been different, but you know what I mean? Where it's like, it's kind of like how you always used to say, like, we need an Obi-Wan series now because Ewan McGregor is here in his prime, in the perfect age. You have an opportunity, and I would be happy if Boyega comes back as Finn or Poe Dameron, comes back as Oscar Isaac needs another house. I'd love to continue the story, but for me to see Rey go forward. She's gone on this journey. She gets to the end of that story, but we get to explore it now, and we don't have to do a big jump. That's why that idea that went around that was intriguing, Helen Mirren as old Rey, like, yeah, I'd like to see that too, but I don't want to skip over prime time, right? Prime time, the season, to take to sports. We got a Hall of Fame player. We've followed the rookie season. I don't want to go to the Hall of Fame induction. I want to go prime time. Winning Super Bowls. Let's see it. Let's explore it. And we have an opportunity to do that.
Yeah. And I think, her coming of age story included seeing up close and personal what happens when somebody falls to the dark side. Up close and personal from poor Luke being like, hey, look, the challenges remain your entire life. It's not like you win once and you're good. She's a character who has seen the value of attachment and the fear of anger from attachment, I think, is in there with Rise of Skywalker. So there's so much that we've already seen in her story that we know that character is wrestling with. There's also just so much really interesting things for the character of Rey to wrestle with in her prime, given the journey that we've seen her go on.
Yeah. And Gaz Nottingham, you guys are on fire today with the comments. Thank you. Not only has Rey Skywalker matured and would now be in her prime, but also Daisy Ridley as an actor has a lot more experience. I can't wait to see her story continue. She's got some great moments in the sequel trilogy, but I think she progressively gets better. And her choices in actors gets braver and bolder. And I think she goes to the second choice of a scene more than the first later on. It just, you see it kind of happen. That's why I love and stand by Rise of Skywalker. A lot of reasons I stand by that film, but just her in that role and that performance. But again, just to get to go forward and sink your teeth into this role. Much like, we're Hayden coming back. Some of his best work of Anakin is now, right? I think not only has his skills gotten better, because he too was kind of plucked out of near obscurity to play that role and all the pressure on him, but his own life and his own time. has factored into it, and Ewan as well, and I think that'd be fun to see her do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think I I do really like the producery vibe too that Daisy
Mm-hmm.
Ridley is coming off of, which like I want that Charmin Obed
Mm-hmm.
Chinoy version of this, but the fact that Daisy Ridley continues to speak about it, not like I'm an actor who's attached, makes me feel like she's not going to do anything that she doesn't feel is really interesting and worthwhile.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Some more comments coming in here. I just like this in terms of reading the tea leaves. Hodge says Daisy also has longer hair nowadays. Growing it back for Ray. I love hair watches and beard watches. Now that we know the truth, if Ewan shows up on a red carpet with an Obi-Wan beard, it was for a reason. Kit Harington and is Jon Snow alive? Let's check his hair. I love that stuff. And hair can
What kind of
change.
shampoo is he using? Yeah.
Wigs are more common than you even know, but I like Ray hair is on the rise.
Yeah, and I agree with what people are saying about like another reason for it to happen is I think the sequel love will continue, and the both the kids who grew up with the sequels and the adults who it's their entry point and their favorite. Eventually, I think much like the prequels, they will become a little bit louder than the detractors, and this sort of we agree it's all bad thing will go away, but it'll be real powerful that if that happens because of money from a box office.
Yeah.
And seeing the undeniable power of lots and lots and lots and lots of people dressed up as Rey for midnight screenings of this film because of the powerful relationship with those films.
Some great comments again of what the film could be about. I'll highlight some of them, but one thought too of just like answering this question of why I think it needs to happen. You touched upon it, but I want to dive back in of just like we have an episode coming out on Wednesday, Star Wars Ranked, of our favorite new things in The Force Awakens. We talk a lot about Rey and her legacy, but also who she reached at that time, which included folks like us, but definitely the next generation of Star Wars fans. No surprise there, but seeing people dressed up or seeing young people, conventions in 2017 dressed up as her. And now here they are. We talk about, well, it's been 10 years of ForceCenter or Force Awakens and ForceCenter. If you were 10 when you saw The Force Awakens, you're 20 now. Like, I want that generation to have this hero continue and take them through other parts of life and other struggles. Detective McCarcel says, I want Rey to have the Superman issue. She has all this power and could solve the issues, but how she does it is what's important. And I think that'll be always valuable for us, even as you and I fade into the sunset and go into the west of Star Wars podcasting. But of that next generation getting to grow up. My final thought, Anthony Breslinkin's review of Last Jedi was it's one of the first Star Wars films that is not just about growing up, but about growing older. And I think I want them to have that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like the point about the Superman issue. Don't depower the characters, give them greater challenges. And I would argue that that's one of the reasons that I love Rise of Skywalkers. I think it starts right down that path of like, all this power is responsibility, and her anxiety being, what if I misuse it? What if I hurt somebody I don't mean to? Because it's such a responsibility to have this power that I need to think very clearly about how I use it. How would a character who that issue, that Superman issue, is a part of her coming of age, a part of her formation. So how is she going to be wrestling with that? How is she going to be passing that on to other Jedi is really cool to think about. Really
cool indeed. I love this comment from Jeannie from Tahini. I take it as like a Kermit the Frog, like, so many good takes today. Yeah, no, you guys are doing good there. It is completely shot in the dark speculation. We're also going to look ahead to 2026, like I said, next week. But I have the follow-up question of like, all right, we know why we think this movie needs to happen and why we need it to happen, but when? Almost kind of pointless at this point. I care, but I don't care as much as I would have even a year ago. But the slate has changed already, and that's the way of it. It's not anything new. This stuff kind of slips and moves around, or something steps to the forefront. I mean, hell, the hunt for Ben Solo seemed to be this close to happening, and we had no idea. That would have thrown a wrench in your "Where's Taika's film" conversation points, anyways, on podcasts. But do you have any thoughts of when, or even when you'd like it to happen?
Yeah, well, let's count on our fingers live on the internet. So 2027. So like,
Mhm.
if her coy answer about
Mhm.
possibly starting to film soon, then 2028 is a possibility. If they
Mhm.
want to be doing a film every year, um,
Mhm.
I would like to see it
Mhm.
before 2030. How about that?
I agree. Oh, that's a scary number.
Yes, it is
Oh
a scary
man.
number, but it's a realistic
Oh.
number. I think I am of the persuasion that I think Mando and Grogu. Well, I'll pull this up because it's part of my
Mhm.
thought here. Joel Davis, thank you for the kind super chat. Says, are
Mhm.
people underestimating Mando and Grogu's potential box office success? Yeah, I think maybe Mando and Grogu does surprisingly well, um,
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
hey,
it's gonna.
Baby Yoda's still real popular, especially
Mhm.
big fan
Mhm.
base with people who are not all in Star Wars talkers like all of us here. Um,
Yeah.
they have made such a deal about Starfighter being standalone. You don't need to know anything else, but it is set after
Mhm.
Rise of Skywalker, so it will have some, I think, little corners that help define the era. So I
Yeah.
would not actually be shocked to see Star Wars dip its toe into the Marvel post-credit. We learned a
Mm.
lot about the way the world
Mm.
is going. This film itself is entirely standalone. It isn't Ray enters in the
Mm.
third act, right? Because we probably might have heard some things about that. But maybe
Mhm.
there is a Ray teaser, and maybe there is a promise that prime time Ray,
Prime time, right?
prime age Ray is next. Is
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
Yeah. Okay. I jotted this down here. Well, you can't. There. Remember, did you have video production classes in the 90s, Joseph, where you had to white balance your camera all the time? Um, the kids these days not know how to white balance. It all happens naturally. All right. So 2026, The Mandalorian Grogu. And I agree. I think it's going to surprise people at box office. I don't think it's going to hit $1 billion. And I don't think you need to right now with the
No,
landscape.
it's not a
I think
success.
it's
That's
not a
not, yeah,
success.
the measurement for success anymore.
Not even concerned about the money, but 500, 600 million is going to be a win. But I think it's going to be the conversation that's going to be the win about it. It's going to be fun. We know 2027. We'll talk about in a second. Star Wars Starfighter. I think the sweet spot is 2028. 2029. We got Dave's film in December. Remember that? I don't know. But I think if you're going to go that's 2029 is where you sneak in Taika's film if it happens. That's Taika in May. Taika gets May.
I don't think there's going to be a Taika film.
I don't think so.
I think I like him.
Mhm.
We put him on a pedestal, and the people didn't like Love and Thunder. Were like, let's take that pedestal back. I think he's a great filmmaker, and I would be happy for him to do it. But
I think 2030 is the only viable spot for Big Jim Mangold going back to the Dawn of the Jedi. I think, unfortunately, because I'm a fan of Mangold, and you and I are big fans of Dial of Destiny. I think that one's got the red X by it.
I think it's definitely got a big question mark floating over it, as does. Sadly, I think the slate announced in London has a question mark floating over it. Definitely with Dave's film of like, are we going to do it as a film, or are we going to do it, or we don't want to take, if they don't want to take too many risks with live action Star Wars on Disney Plus, it is kind of makes sense to finish out Dave's story there, unless Mandalorian Grogu is a test balloon for that. And the Dawn of the Jedi, there's no urgency behind. And and then I think that makes it all the more powerful that Daisy Ridley is out there saying like, yeah, it's developing and Rey is coming back. So maybe not the film that Charmin pitched, but this is the one of those three that's hitting theaters.
Yeah. Yeah, and the final on my list is Kinberg 1 in 2031. That's my prediction. And again, I acknowledge a lot of strong rumors that Rey folds into Kinberg 1 and all that kind of stuff. And it does make sense from a certain point of view. But I'm going to be bold and say 2028, we're getting that Rey film. And that Kinberg's trilogy, whatever that ends up being, is like you and I had talked about, and Jen and I had talked about in the past, of like, that is literally for a generation that almost doesn't exist yet. That is Star Wars for the future.
I would
And
love it if it was like literally in a different galaxy, like since that has been opened up as a possibility of not a literal reboot, but a sort of spiritual reintroduction. And yeah.
Oh, I'm going to throw one more prediction out there. I'm going to say in the spring of 2029, no, 28, we're going to get Skeleton Crew the movie, The Rise and Fall of Jada Nowwood. Okay?
If they want to come back to Skeleton Crew when the kids are 28 and actually playing 28 on like Stranger Things,
yes,
I'd be okay with that. There was a comment here that I agree with about the timing of the 50th anniversary and celebration from Woodsy 1126. I think they want the reveal for the trailer with George there at Celebration 27, so a 28 release date. Yeah, I think if not, a trailer, definitely hype for what is next. So we aren't just celebrating Starfighter that will be out around the same time.
Yeah. Brian Warren, our buddy at Midnight Mass, says if a movie has Rey, it needs to be released in December. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We're looking at 2 May releases back to back, 26, 27, which is a great spot for Star Wars, and I think Mando and Grogu can launch a summer of fun with Star Wars. But yeah, I'm with you, Brian. I think if it's got Rey, it's Christmas time. It's a December 18th release.
Another controversy that it has to overcome. Rey in the summer.
We can't have summer Rey. What is this? Then it will be those weird conversations of, and we might even have it when Mando comes out in just a couple months of like, no, Star Wars is better in December. It's like, yeah, where were you in 2013 when we were all like, there's no way this film's going to work in December. No way. You can't make money in December. So there we go. All right. Rounding up the conversation there. Final thoughts here, Joseph, on just, why we want this movie to still happen and why it's important to us as Star Wars fans.
Yeah, I mean, I think more than anything, all these different things, but at the end of the day, I think Rey is a really compelling character played by a fantastic actor who just keeps getting better. And so there's a little of the why not? Why would we not want to spend some more time with this character and celebrate this character? And her lightsaber is damn cool. And I would like to see it in more than in a video game.
Yes. BM Fence is my guess is a trailer celebration in 27. Yeah, a little tease. Yeah, I like of all the, we've done some pontificating here. We've done some deep dive discussion into this news story today, but I also think you just kind of hit the number one reason. Yeah, why not? World's kind of tough. I don't even know if we're going to be here 2031. Just make a Rey film and let's have some fun. If only we're that simple. There we go. All right, next story of the day, our second and essentially final story. Small one here, but fun. Star Wars Starfighter has wrapped principal production, the shooting. Now it's ready for the reshoots. Sean Levy took to Instagram to announce that they have wrapped shooting on Star Wars Starfighter. He shared a black and white photo of himself running through a circular hallway, very sci-fi. The movie is still scheduled, of course, for a May 2027 release, so it's on schedule. And one question to start the conversation, then we can take it wherever we want, Joseph, here. But after years of false starts and fading movie projects, some of that being addressed in our chat here today, what does this news mean to us as Star Wars fans that another one is in the can in terms of production?
2 things. One for me is like I hadn't seen that image, and I read your news rundown. It's like, okay, I'm looking forward to seeing this picture of Sean Levy with a with a Baba Joe type puppet or next to Ryan Gosling's space pants or whatever. That image was damn cool. It was very different from the things that Jon Favreau has done. I love when Jon Favreau just put out the maquette of the Goring Guard. That was fantastic. That hallways in the black and white photography really remind me of THX 1138. Not that it's in black and white, but it's not as colorful because it's an oppressive fascist regime in that film. So I really loved the image, and I was surprised by that. I felt like it was a little bit different. In terms of your specific question of what it means to me, I think it means that Lucasfilm and Sean Levy are very aware that in this day and age, the behind the scenes is a huge part of the promotion of the film. It's a huge part of the audience's relationship to the film. I often wish that it was not a part of people, that people could just shut off all of the behind the scenes stuff and watch just the story, the fantasy presented to them. But people take so much of that into the theater seat with them. And I continue to think that Sean Levy is a very good creator, but also a savvy business guy. And I think he knows, like, mission number 1, make a really good standalone Star Wars film. Mission number 2, make it seem like the most flawless, fun, untroubled production humanly possible, and constantly communicate that, because there have been so many bumps and because people pay attention to behind the scenes too much. I think this is a man on a mission to make it feel smooth. And I do appreciate that after everything that Lucasfilm has been through.
I love that. I think it's a great point. Yeah, and it's a fun photo, and yeah, there's a lot of good vibes around everything he's shared so far, and it harkens back to JJ, he of 0 followers on Instagram, sharing a lot of stuff. You know, the pictures of R2 and Loose Lips sink starships, all the kind of fun, and then Favreau picks it up in a major way where, you know, he and for a while, even Ron Howard was the number one source of solo news, was Ron Howard's Instagram page there for a while too. So I love that, just as a Star Wars fan, and even as people said in chat, like Ethan and Svenix, if production is done, then we'll actually hit theaters. That's a headline for me. Yeah, you know, I'm not anticipating this one getting written off for tax purposes. There, you know, can't say that about other things, unfortunately, but. There's just a good, simple joy, because without a doubt, as positive as we like to stay in this galaxy and on this podcast, there are some harsh realities, and there's a frustrating track record, even going back to Josh Trank and his original announced project. And though we can say it's par for the course for Hollywood, it's hard to ignore that after all the time we've spent in this podcast space, it's definitely the headline far too often for our taste. And so to just have what seems to be this simple, fun Star Warsy production, we thought about it, we made it, now we're going to edit it, and you're going to see it. I think there's great value in that.
I think so too, to see it have in theory, everything's going very smooth with Mando and Grogu. It's just been very quiet. And I think there's something about the way that that this is being presented, and a lot of it's presented by Lucasfilm, but it's also pretty directly presented by Sean Levy. I want to grab a quote here, or a comment from Gwen Webster.
Gwen.
Reshoots, the controversy. I think it's very funny. I was actually thinking about that, because I think it is a very purposeful mission to make it feel smooth. And as we've talked about, and as many people know, reshoots are totally standard. They're totally normal. They're a boon of having an actual budget and being a large production. So reshoots will happen because they're normal. So I'm curious to see how this machine, that I think is being very smart, is going to get on top of the reshoots. Is there trouble on Starfighter? How they're going to put the reshoots across to get around that dumb debate and dumb coverage.
Yeah, great point, Gwen, and glad you're here. Hope you're feeling better too. I know you've been down and out a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I heard there was reshoots on Dead Media. I heard you had to do some pickup shots, and I went straight to my Dead Media Center podcast and said, the film's in trouble. The film's in trouble. Absolutely there. But no, I'm excited. I think, I don't want to say, I think now this is the right choice for 2027 and the 50th, because I don't even know if I fully believe that. I would have loved the Rey film to have been the 50th anniversary film, but at least seeing what they've got going right now, and have a good hand in charge of it, to just kind of get the work done. And it's weird too, because I'm hearing less right now. We'll see when the trailers come out, or teasers and everything. I'm hearing less of the Gosling and Star Wars, and just more of like, ooh, this is intriguing, and I like that too as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there will definitely be some umbrage just for Star Wars existing, but it's nice to see this one spared for the most part so far.
Yeah. All right. Now we have time left here, about 15 minutes. If you got any general questions here, unless you have any final thoughts, big thoughts there on Starfighter, Joseph.
No, I think my only last Starfighter thought is when it's going to quiet down and make some room for Mando and Grogu, because in the
Yeah.
grand scale of things, Mando and Grogu is coming out in 5 minutes. It's coming out in May. We're in December. Like,
Yeah.
that machine needs to ramp up, and Starfighter needs to be like, that's probably how they'll handle the reshoots is like Mando and Grogu, they'll release the trailer on the day that they already have scheduled reshoots or pickup shots for Starfighter. It does make me, all this Starfighter coverage does make me really hungry to see how and when the Mando and Grogu machine is going to ramp up.
Yeah, and it's got, I don't say it has to happen soon. This is not Star Wars Business Center, but like, someone in our chatter, I think it was Todd Roy, said like, hey, I'll say it. Some of these movies, the time between them, it can kind of, force the fandom lose momentum a little bit here. Not for us broadcasting 4 times a week still, but for the folks, or like my dad going at the end of Force Awakens, I think they're going to make more. That was my dad in 2015. Like they do have to kind of get out in front of people, and make it clear to the aunts and uncles you're going to see at Christmas dinner that this is not season 4, or this isn't a toy commercial. Like it's a film, and it's clear to us. I want to make sure it's clear to the general public.
Yeah. Very excited.
There you go. All right. A couple questions coming in here. Thank you for super chats. Svetnik, do you think they will go back to the whole, go back on the whole end of the Skywalker saga thing and just make these Kinberg movies 10, 11, and 12? What do you think?
I have no idea. I would put no money on it in terms of predicting. In terms of what I want, I hope that they just let the Skywalker saga be the Skywalker saga and, continue with Rey. I'd be more interested in seeing a Rey film be labeled part of the Skywalker saga. I really hope that the Kinberg trilogy is just something entirely new, and I'd be fine if it has episode numbers. But I'd be fine if it is, the New Galaxy episode 1. Not the actual title, but I'd be I'd be fine if it went, since it's a trilogy, if it went back to that in a saga with episode titles, maybe numeric ones as well. But I kind of want to move on from the specific baggage of the Skywalker saga. Rey is a Skywalker to me, so a continuation of Rey's story is a continuation of this Skywalker saga. But there's a sort of, baggage of, yeah,
you're right. And I sometimes I get a little grumpy at that baggage, because my thought to Ethan's answers, I think most likely, I think Kinberg's, if it's separate from the Rey, or even if the Rey film folds into it, I think it's 10, 11, and 12. But my thing is, and nothing against the marketing, I think that made a lot of sense to call this the Skywalker saga, parts 1 through 9. But I don't know, maybe it's just how we grew up. Like, I think it's the Star Wars saga. It's have it go on. Like, and that it never to me was, yes, Anakin's at the center of it. The Skywalker family's clearly at the center of it. The Rise of Skywalker ends it in 9, and it was marketed. The marketing was clear. I'm saying marketing aside, but you know what I mean? Where I'm just like, no, this is Star Wars. Make them all episode numbers. I don't care. As Ethan said, make it 1B. Solo's, 1A-. I don't care. I think that's relatively new to me, at least, unless I'm completely wrong, to be like, this is the Skywalker saga, because it does lend itself to those conversations that I don't always agree with, but I understand. I had famously pushed back on a friend who was like, but the thing about season 8 of Game of Thrones is it just made this whole thing about the Starks and the Lannisters. Yeah. You want House Forrester? You wanted the butler? Suddenly we got his story? Like, no, this is how you tell big stories. So yes, the Skywalker family is the center of it, but it doesn't mean they have to be at the center of it for it to continue to be a number in this ongoing saga. I don't know. Hot take, grumpy take. I don't know.
No, it's very interesting to me. And I think, it was clearly about the Skywalkers, but it was something that Lucasfilm really crafted, calling it the Skywalker saga and saying that in the sequel era, and saying this was, and George might have described it that way. George described it as a saga of Anakin Skywalker at some point. But that kind of the real marketing push behind calling it the Skywalker saga, and it's ending with episode 9. That's really interesting to me, because if they hadn't made a big push and had just kind of kept calling it the Star Wars saga, then I think you've got a very interesting argument of like the Skywalkers are at the center of it, but are this big saga films, the trilogy films with numbers, are they the ones that deal with the biggest scale of the galaxy of, government's rise and government fall? That would be interesting to me for them to sort of not to backtrack on the Skywalker saga label and make it, it's always been the Star Wars saga, and now we're going to do episode 10 of the Star Wars saga.
Yeah. It's all how you approach it, how you talk about it. I like David Mackay. Just skip ahead. just let's do the George thing. Let's start with episode 38. What happened routine? We'll get to find out. We'll get to fill it in. So I think that's there. So there you go. So other comments here, other questions, I should say. We got Nick pointed out here the Mando Grogu IMAX countdown numbers in Avatar 3 were awesome marketing, I think.
Cool.
And then Brady pointed out, I did see that story this weekend. They did air some Mando Grogu's trailer stuff in front of Zootopia 2 and had a little bit of some different things in it.
Awesome.
So we're not suggesting the marketing doesn't exist. It just maybe has to be out in front and center, but it is ongoing, and that's encouraging.
Well, that's great to know that it's in the theaters and reaching humans who go to the theater, because obviously they need that. But we just haven't been seeing these same kind of like releases from Favreau or updates on the exact progress in the same way that we have for Starfighter, and I'm hoping that ramps up.
Yeah, and final point on what I was talking about too. I agree with Glenn here. Depends on when you came in. At one point, it was the Star Wars trilogy, then the Star Wars saga, then the Skywalker saga. It's all marketing. End of the day, it's friggin' Star Wars. Yeah, that's kind of my thought too. Make them all. Remember, we had the discussion of like, I don't know. I think Solo's part of the Skywalker saga because it affects Luke later on. Luke later on. So there you go.
I think the Obi-Wan Kenobi show is a pretty big part of the Skywalker saga. I think two kind of major Skywalkers going through some stuff in that series.
Yeah. I just think the biggest, some higher up in marketing was like, we got it. It's the end of the Skywalker saga. That looks great on a poster. I think that, and even the trailer with C-3PO, I'm taking one last look at my friends. Like heartstrings tugged. Heartstrings tugged and pulled, but maybe it boxed things in a little bit too much. I don't know. We got a couple general questions here, then we're signing on. Thank you for the super chat. Mr. Ken Plume, a.k.a. Plumey, as Wikipedia calls him. Pick a Star Wars TV episode for holiday viewing. All right. It's Christmas Day. You and Sarah are going to watch a Star Wars TV show, Joseph. How quick do you go to droids?
We watch episode 6 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. It doesn't fit the holidays, but I just really like it. I want to watch the Stabby Moon fight, and then I want to watch Kenobi's just a very, very beautiful eulogy for Anakin and Padme that he relates to Leia. That would get me in the holiday feelings.
But you're 100% right, because it's been discussed before, not first here with us, but Obi-Wan's just given Luke a gift. It's a whole story of giving a present. He gives him the little T-16.
You're right. It really is. What is Obi-Wan Kenobi if not sexy Santa Claus? Come on.
He is. That's a great answer. I am drawn of JMB Vulcan Nerds is something from Skeleton Crew. I can't necessarily think of something specific, but it might be Skeleton Crew would be a good Christmas Day, just kind of binge watch. It's maybe it's the kids, maybe it's the hopeful look at the future. Maybe it's Jod being the Grinch and maybe slightly coming around. But I might lean to something in Skeleton Crew. I might go there.
Skeleton Crew is a good pick.
We got thank you, Ken, for that one there as well. And then we got James Holmes, add a Star Wars novel for holiday reading. Okay, now you're really trying my memory here. What I don't know, maybe Leia, Princess of Alderaan. It's about receiving gifts of your soul. I might go with that. We need a good Life Day novel that's just
a true Life Day novel. The Princess and the Scoundrel, just because it's one of the more recent ones. Is there's large festive gatherings. There's that wonderful Ewok bachelor and bachelorette party for Han and Leia before their wedding. And hey, there's some stuff on an ice planet in that book too, so good to go.
There you go. You just need some stuff. final comment here today, and we'll get on out of here. Thank you all for the generous super chats. We really appreciate that. Got some last minute Christmas shopping to do when I can't stay. Just want to stop in and say happy holidays to y'all, and may the force be with you. Good way to kind of end the show there. Yeah, big holiday week, whether you choose to celebrate, or you're bah humbug. We're all experiencing the holidays in some way or another. We'll have our broadcast on Wednesday, releasing Star Wars Ranked, no live show on Friday. We'll be back to somewhat normal next week, but appreciate you all being here as we start to wrap up another year of ForceCenter broadcasting. Been a lot of fun.
And it's really fun to see everybody in the chat. And I think one thing that we didn't touch on, but people were talking about, is a lot of predictions about seeing a Mando and Grogu trailer in the lead up to the Super Bowl or at the Super Bowl on February 8th. I think that's a really good valid point, chat. And Joel Davis had said, did you see my super chat? And
you pulled his in, I think.
I did. Yes, and apologies if we missed it.
All right, so I was just checking. Super Bowl is on NBC this year. WNBC. So not ABC, but yeah, it doesn't mean you're not going to buy time on the network. It'd be a perfect time to show a big Mando trailer. The world is watching.
Yeah, be great.
There you go. All right, thank you all for hanging out with us here today. We're excited for more news on the Jedi Order film, the new Jedi Order film. So there you go. That is it. But before we get out of here, let you know, hey, if you're watching here on YouTube, hit subscribe, hit that like, hype the videos. It's easier to do on your phone if you're watching there. If you're watching later, leave a comment after. We appreciate that. Thanks to those listening on the podcast feed. Don't forget, on the podcast feed, we rebroadcast episodes of Databank Brawl every Sunday. Check it out. We're into the hundreds. It's getting late in the game over there. And you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/ForceCenter. Get into our Discord with a lot of these wonderful folks that you're seeing here in chat. And you can follow me at CatNapsock and my website, catnapsock.com. You, sir.
Yes, you can follow me on all the social media at Joseph Scrimshaw. And you can check out my website, josephscrimshaw.com, for updates on all my other adventures, in particular the horror film that we completed this year, Dead Media. I'm working hard on getting it out into the world, and you can sign up for a mailing list to find out more about that.
There you go. And don't forget to follow Jennifer Landa on TikTok and Instagram as well. Send your regards to Jen and say, why are you threatening us, Jen? Why? Ken says you're threatening us. No, absolutely. All right, that is it. We'll see you next time here on ForceCenter.